Hey friends out there, Rob here. Today I want to talk to you about developing some film. This is going to be a monobath film for black and white development that we're talking about today, and it's going to be processing the Cosmo Photo Mono. This is an ISO 100 speed film, panchromatic film. Beautiful film. Okay. I think there's a lot that people think about when it comes with new cameras, and I'm thinking a lot about the new Fujifilm xhalf, right? And why not just share with you on that $850, $900 camera what you could do? Okay, so the setup that you're looking at right here, well, let's talk about it. The processing is maybe 20 bucks, 30 bucks, depending on what you go with. This is a monobath that's reusable. Monobath just means you only have to do one thing one time, which is develop and fix all at the same time. Mono, one bath. Cinestill makes a great product. This is their DF96. My house keeps around 70 degrees all the time. The temperature of that liquid is about 70 degrees. It's 69.5 right now, which means that a stand mixing with minimal agitation is 6 minutes. How cool is that? Okay, what else do we have? Well, 20 bucks to 30 bucks, depending on what it is. I forget. Probably, let's just say 30. Okay, $40 for a Patterson tank with all the stuff that you need to get everything on the roll. It's really nice, it looks good, and it works great. 40 bucks, 45 bucks. Okay. You could get something slightly cheaper. This is a Yankee clipper. It does also 110 film. If you want to do 110, it comes with that spool. It kind of sucks because of the plastic injection molding. You have to spend some time kind of refining the fit, but it works very well. Lots of people hate it. I kind of like it. 30 bucks. So a $10 difference between the two. Take your pick. If you get the Patterson tank, you'll need to buy specific 110 tanks if you want to develop small 110 film like this. All right, a couple of these little beakers, you know, just graduated measuring cylinders, whatever, 1 liter can go in here. That's great. Yeah, they're 10 bucks. A development bag, $20 to $30, and a squeegee. So for less than $100, you've got everything you need minus the film in the camera to develop film at your house. You might say to yourself, Rob, I'm going to have to scan this. This doesn't work. Yes, it does. You can search your phone, iPhone or Android for Film Lab, one word. Okay. And that little app right there that you can download will allow you to scan your film negatives straight from wherever you have them hanging to dry. It's a couple dollars a month. It might even be free. I don't know. But if you ever pay for the upgraded version, sure, you can get that upgraded version. It's $7 a month or like $60 a year, something like that. $100 or $200 for a lifetime. And then you can scan the film for your heart's content on your computer and your iPhone and your Android. You get access to all of it. It does a great job. I love it. If you don't want to do that, you can download GIMP, G-I-M-P, for free. And that's a Photoshop similar tool, and you can just invert your negatives, and Bob's your uncle. You can scan them from there. You could take a picture of them with your cell phone if you do it well, or your DSLR. I mean, this whole process is a hobby, right? So you learn these things. The point I'm sharing with you is, if you want to shoot film and you're thinking about the Fujifilm xhalf, fun little camera, why not just consider shooting some film? And it's much cheaper. Today's film is Cosmo Photo, F-O-T-O, Mono. Now, I shot this over a year ago, and it was expired. I bought this from their first run. I bought a few rolls of it, and I decided to shoot it. I don't care about expired film. It's not a big deal for me. Film, as long as you keep it, really doesn't go well. A couple years out of expiration, not a problem. Polaroid instant film development, you know, like the Polaroid, the square one with the Polaroid name, that's much less shelf stable. And of course, if you really want your film to last a long time, you can keep it in the fridge. Okay. So, what do we need in order to get this film onto the roll? And I'm not going to use the Yankee clipper, although I kind of feel like I should, but I'm just going to use the Patterson tank because I'm going to do some inversions and it's fully watertight. Yeah, well, I just use a bottle opener. Okay. And I do it in the dark bag here. You're going to get to see me do that in real time. And today, the film that we're going to be developing was shot on a Ricoh 500G. Now, if you're buying vintage cameras, they There are lots of different things you can get into about vintage cameras, what to look for. Usually the 1960s cameras that have fewer digital components and were fully manual still work. I find that cameras with leaf shutters, like these little tiny ones like this in the Olympus RCRD ED series, with shutters up, and the Canon, like the Canonet and the Demi and the Himatic Minoltas, they seem to work really well over time, you know? And the 1/500th of a second for a leaf shutter is pretty simple, and it can maintain that. Whether or not the selenium light metering cells, which are in these, still works is up to you. But if you get one that's fully manual, whether or not the selenium cell works doesn't matter, as long as the shutter works and the aperture blades don't stick. How you can test all that stuff, I think, is worth it for another video. So, what do? Well, I'm doing this monobath right here from Cinestill, which means I don't have much to do. If I was developing color film from Cinestill, I would need to heat my materials so that they were the proper temperature. And I would do that right here. Maybe I'll make a video about how I do that. It's very simple. In here, I now have everything that I need. I've got my film, I've got my Patterson tank, and I've got my, I don't know, Swiss Army knife tool. I got my multi-tool. That's a Leatherman. Okay, everything I'm doing now has to be done in the dark. And to be quite honest with you, sometimes my Patterson reels don't like to spool film on them as easily as my my Yankee Clipper. You will find that some reels spool differently than others. Everything I'm doing right now has to be done in the complete and total darkness. So you can't look, you have to do it by feel. That can be a little daunting, but it's fun to learn. And if you ever needed to, you could go into your closet and do this too. Right now, I've taken everything out of the Patterson tank that you saw earlier, and I'm grabbing the Patterson tank and the spool and feeling where the leaders are, so I'll just know what orientation it is. And I feel the little points of the film leaders where you feed the film with my with my two thumbs, and so I've got it. So I know where they are. That's easy to figure out. Next thing I do is I find my film, and I identify where the place is that I'm going to open the film canister. The film has a side that's flat and a side that has a small protuberance. That's where the film sticks. It's just, anyways, go to the flat side. Don't go to the one with the little pipe sticking out. When you go to the flat side, I'm going to take my can opener, stick it into the flat side, which has a little hole in it so that the film take-up spool on the camera could actually wind and unwind the film. I'm going to put the tip of my can opener into that, and I'm going to put the bump, the part that grabs the rim of the can, on the outside of the film canister. And I'm just going to pull apart. Okay? And you may have heard, but we're open now. Okay? I'm completely open at this point in time, and now I'm pulling the top of that canister off. And because the top of the film canister is off, I can actually open the slit where the film leader would normally come in and out of. Don't worry, this is felt lined, so you can very easily open it. Just don't scratch it. At this point in time, I feel the film leader, and I can feel the film on the roll, and it can completely unspool. I don't want it to do that in my case. So I'm going to take that film leader, and I'm just remembering now, I probably should have brought in my scissors, but I do have my knife in here, so I'm going to cut this using my multi-tool. It's easier to load when you have a flat leader. Okay, so now I got to get the multi-tool in the dark. I usually just use a pair of scissors for this. Okay, so now I've got that. Don't cut myself. It's easy enough to do. And now I'm just going to cut a straight, I'm just going to cut it straight across. Bingo. Now, I will remember that that's open, and now the film is cut straight across, and I grab my reel. Now that I've grabbed the reel, I want to put the film has a curve because it's been spooled up. You want the curve to face downwards, not upwards, okay? Because the spool is going to spool it onto the film in that same downwards motion. I go ahead and align the film take-up leaders where the film goes into the Patterson reel. You can feel them. And I bring them, they rotate back and forth. You could hear that. That's how you ratchet it on, like screwing on like halfway forwards and back. You want them to be equal with one another. And then just with a little bit of practice, you'll be able to get that right on there. And once it's up and on, I'll tell you. This can take a moment, especially on camera. Okay. And the more rounded, the more spooled your film is, the longer it could take. Okay, there we go. There it is. It's on. Now the film is delicately on for just the first inch or so, and I'm going to ratchet the Patterson reel backwards and forwards. When I ratchet it forwards, I'm holding it with my right thumb. When I ratchet it backwards, my left thumb is touching the film and my right hand is not touching the film, but I'm moving the wheel backwards so that I can get the film to ratchet onwards. Okay. Now, about 2 or 3 little turns forwards, there's a small ramp that the film has to get past in order to ratchet the rest of the way. This is because the film is spooling onto a spiral. If you feel your film only go on a couple of inches and then it doesn't move forwards anymore, don't panic. All you need to do is massage it very slowly, forwards and backwards, until it begins to feed onto and through that ramp. Once you do that, you'll be able to spool the rest of the film onto the roll. And you will continue spooling the film onto the roll until you run out of film and you're all spooled up. Now, I do this nice and slow, just like we're doing now. I'm on, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25. And I've got more of the film to go, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38. Getting very close to the end. 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48. I'm very close to the end. 48. Now, I can tell you that we are getting real close, and as you get more film on the spool, more of the spool doesn't want to take the film. And when you've got a 36 roll exposure of film, it can be difficult sometimes to get it all on there. Now, I want to show you what I'm talking about. We're trying to get the film to spool onto here, and this reel will only take 36 exposures, and that will require most of the film. Once you get the film on here, the film will actually begin to grab via these little small ball bearings. And if you realize the film has to go through each one of these spirals to get on there, it can sometimes be a daunting task. Now, this is all light tight, so I can pull everything out. But if I pushed my hands up and forwards, it might not have worked so well because the light could come in from the top. So if at any point in time things aren't working the way you want, just step back and relax. Okay, so as for me, I can feel that the film is almost done, but I have another foot of film and the leader didn't go all the way on, it actually jumped. So I'm gonna take the roll apart, which allows me to pull the film off, put my film back together, and now I'm starting over. Now what happened was the film jumped off the roll or off the spiral at some point. And this is one of the things that's irritating about the Patterson tank reels. Now not really a big deal because we can do this over and over, but it is just something you have to know about. Okay, so I'm starting over. And the left side is on. Okay. And now the right side is on. Okay. Now I've got to get this film to go back on and not jump any parts, and it's working. Just a little sweet massage. There it is. There we go. Now 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm just counting. 5, 6. How many times I'm doing it? 7, 8, 9, 10. It takes about 60 because you only move about half an inch. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 17, 18, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53. At 52, 52, 53, 52, 50, I'm at about 50, and it feels like all the film is on the roll. So, all right. In this instance, I'm simply going to pull the part off the end of the film right there, and I'm feeling it right now. Okay. And it's doing its job. It's doing what it should do. Yeah, this is one of the reasons these Patterson rolls, these 36 exposure rolls of film, they can be difficult to get on here. And that's what we're experiencing right now. Now, how much does it matter? I don't care. Not that big of a deal, really. It is a big deal, but I'm going to grab my spindle, and you'll see once I take this all out. Where'd my spindle go? That's not the spindle. Okay. Yeah, that's not the spindle. That's not the spindle. That's the swizzle stick. That's the lid. There's the spindle. Okay, so I got the spindle. I put the film on the spindle, and I'm going to show you what I'm talking about here when we're done developing. Once again, I said, I don't really care that much. It will be okay. What I'm doing is I'm wrapping the film around the outside of the film reel. It will get, I mean, it's not great, but it will get exactly what it needs. I just don't want it to get hurt by bent or crushed when I put it in. Okay, now that that spindle's in there, I'm grabbing the light trap. Okay, and now I'm putting the lid on it, which doesn't really matter, and now we're out. So, in just a minute, you'll get to see, because this is pretty simple stuff, and slightly irritating, but for today's purpose, it's perfectly fine. All right. Notice how this came apart, right? And this was the little leader. I said there's one side of the film that sticks out from the bottom. That was this side right here. So I popped the cap, the flat cap off. Easy enough. Now, this is light tight on the inside, and it's light tight because of this right here. Now, we don't really need to do anything to warm up our film. Everything's ready to go. So the only thing that I need to do is set a timer. And I'll do that now. We'll set a timer for 6 minutes. If I can find my timer clock. Okay. And actually, I'm just going to set a stopwatch. Like I said, this is development with minimal agitation, which is 10 seconds of agitation after I fill it up, and then 10 seconds of agitation every minute thereafter. I already shook this up today, but we'll shake it up some more. Okay, and I'm just going to go ahead and start when I begin pushing this button. All right. I'm going to put pretty much all of this in here. There we go. That's perfect. I'll cover it up like that. Now, some of you might be saying, oh, you should already be agitating. Maybe. I'm going to agitate now. And I'm just right now doing 10 seconds of agitation. Swizzle stick left and right. And you can leave the swizzle stick in there if you want. I'm not going to. I'm going to simply put the lid on it now. Now it's important. The more you agitate the film, the faster it will develop. The faster it develops, the less time it needs to be in here. So I want to do, like I said, 6 minutes, because at 70 degrees, 6 minutes is all it takes. So every minute, like now, I need to do 10 seconds of inversions. There we go. Now what's happening on the inside of here is the film is being both developed and fixed. You actually have two processes. The third one is wash and rinse. But developing and fixing the film, and you hear that it develops, that's the chemical reaction, I just let out some air. Developing and fixing the film at the same time means that the image will stay and not fade over time. Okay, so we're at 38 seconds. This is the same whether you're going to develop 110 film or anything else for black and white. There are slightly different methods or times based on the temperature and the type of film that you're doing. And if you want to push or pull, you just let it go an additional minute or let it go 1 minute less. We are now coming up on 2 minutes out of the 6, so I'm going to jump it again. This agitation right here, just inversions, it works just like this. And 10 seconds. Now, what I was experiencing earlier was that the film going through this roll was on and wouldn't go any further, meaning that all the film got wrapped all the way down to the end of the reel, or somewhere along the reel where it couldn't reel spool anymore. Okay, so in the instances that that happens, there's very few things that you can do. And the one thing that I did, if you've got about a foot left of the film, I simply wrap it around and put it in. Why does it happen? Well, I think it happens, this roll should be able to accept 36 exposures. But just like anything else, when people make these rolls, they make them at the tolerance that's just the bare minimum. So the roll isn't any longer. So if the film jumped a line or a spiral or something like that, if you didn't cut the leader to the perfect start of the roll, the leader's got 2 or 3 shots on it, and the end of the roll has 2 or 3 shots on it. So you could actually have 40 shots on a 36 roll exposure. I've gotten like 38 and a half in the past to be 39, but you've got more length. So if you didn't cut your leader perfectly, that's why all of it wouldn't spool on there, just as we were discussing. So, what do you do in that time? Well, I think you do what I did. Now, I've not ever developed 35 millimeter in the Yankee Clipper, but I expect it has the same kind of problem. In this instance, we just did what we could do. So, it's now time to do a few more inversions. Now, when I'm developing this film, it's something important to note that every subsequent roll that I develop, I will have to mark how many rolls have been developed. So each roll that you develop, because this is a capture and reuse solution, which is why we got this, each time we develop, we're going to have to add 15 seconds to our development time. And this monobath will do 16 rolls. Now, it will actually do more than 16 rolls if you're willing to deal with additional chemistry development time. And that's up to you. So you could continue to probably do twice as many rolls pretty easily. I've done 20, maybe 22 rolls of this black and white stuff in the past and not had any real problems. You just have to continue to increase. And at some point in time, it might get longer than you're willing to wait. If that's the case, buy some more. Okay. So we're going into the last minute now, which is going to be nice. I'm going to begin my agitations here. And this is the last time through, which means I will do my final agitations about 10 seconds before the end. And there's something else to know. They say use this within about a year of purchase. Well, it comes with this handy little stop cap, which is great. And I keep it in a plastic gallon Ziploc bag. And this particular amount is actually new. So the last time I developed film, I didn't use it. I bought 3 or 4 at once. And so now I'm just developing this. I probably already had it for a year or so when I bought it, which is why I can't remember the price. I think when I bought it, it was only $22 or 20 bucks or something like that. So now it's coming time for me to tap, tap, tap. Do my inversions. 6 minutes is coming along. And in this case, I'm using a few extra inversions because, remember, my temperature was just 68.5 or 69.5 degrees, just shy, and I want to include that. Everything has been fixed. The rest can be done in the light, but at this point in time, I'm dumping it. Okay? That's good. Now, we went from clear to a slight shade of amber. When it gets real amber, that's when you know you got a problem. So, I'm going to put this at about medium temperature. You don't need ice cold water here, and I'm just filling that up. While I do, I will add this back to the replenishment. And for here, we're not going to go for the full 10 minutes. We're going to go for, I think, 5 minutes or so. But we want it to be washed out a total of 10 times. So you have to fill and empty a total of 10 times. If you want to go for archival print quality, you go for 10 minutes of this. But you're really ready to go in just a few minutes. Since this is the only film that I'm doing today, and by a few minutes, I mean 5 minutes. I'm going to put that cap back on it. Actually, I got to pull this out now. I usually squeeze out some of the air, put the cap back on it, and then, well, I guess wipe the lid would be nice, right? And now put the lid on it. All right, so I got to wash all this stuff out. And I'm just washing out my tank with the water that's in there. This is the liter that I cut off earlier. And we can even go ahead and give the film a looks. You'll be able to see that here in a minute anyway. I'm just going to do this, like I said, like they said, just 10 times. If you're doing this along with me, let me know how it's going. That's 3. Again, I can lay that down now and this can just dry right over here and it'll be happy. This is 4. It just keeps going, right? Here we are. This would be number 5. Now, if for some reason I'd felt like I needed to develop it more, I could have looked at these first. Before I emptied everything out, I could have just pulled them out because after 3 minutes, your image is fixed. So it's ready to come out. But if I wanted to continue developing it, I could have just put it back in and continued some more. The same goes now, even though I'm washing it. I could continue to develop it if I wanted to, just by putting the stuff back into it and then giving it another couple of minutes. So the nice part about the monobath and the DF796 is that you got a lot of options. It's pretty much foolproof. I guess now is a good time to remind you that I don't know if this camera was the one that shot it, and I don't know if that roll of film has any images on it. I can't remember, but even if it doesn't, we'll know soon, but this is how you would develop it. I think we're at 8. And we're at 3 minutes. We're going to call that 9. This will be 10. I'm going to show you a couple other things that I use. I'll grab them real quick. I'm still here. I'm just going through some of my stuff to get something. Which is strange that I don't see it. Very odd. Maybe I put it somewhere else. Oh, there it is. I got it. I did put it somewhere else. Okay. So for me, in the way that I develop, I'm not using a clean room right now. And I'm not using a wetting agent to make squeegeeing these guys any easier. So when I hang these over there, I'll show you. Well, I just use one to grab one side of the leader and the other one as a weight to hold it down. I have been thinking about building a little dry box for all of this and just putting it in the garage with some desiccant packs. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and stop this now. As you can see, everything came out. I wanted to show you, but this wasn't clicked in just then. Okay, I wanted you to see how this actually worked. The leader itself didn't get on the film, and here's why. It appears that the film jumped. Yeah, that's exactly why. The film itself jumped off the top spool or ring. And I have that problem sometimes with this particular one. Maybe not so much the other one. Notice that one's got a lot more use. It's a lot browner. Maybe it's just this one. Anyways, let's open it up, pull it off, and see what we've got. And it looks like... Oh, we do have some images. I don't know if you can see this. Oh, we've got some great images on here. Very happy indeed. And it looks also like we only shot half the roll. Yeah, I don't know if you can see this. Can you see? Let me see if I can kind of get out of the way. It looks like we've only shot half the roll. And so now I'll show you what I do with the squeegee. I probably should get my other stuff. That's pretty much it. Squeegee it down. Yeah, it looks like, I think that's exactly what happened. And it looks like some of this film has been burnt too. So I remember. I completely remember. I took this film to shoot. Let me come right back with a pair of scissors. Hold on. Great. I took this film to shoot for a family reunion type of thing, and someone opened the back of the film camera because they didn't think there was any film in it, and that burned a lot of my photos, and that was that. That was the end. Okay, looks like these images have come out real nice. A wetting agent here is just like for your dishes. It really helps them dry and look real nice. Okay, so now that that's there, I want this to come up so you can see. Maybe you can kind of see some of the shots and stuff. They're all there. Ah, they're looking great. Yeah, and this was taken on the 35, on the 500G, I remember. Yeah, Ricoh 500G. Okay, so the final part that I'm going to do is just grab this so that it can properly dry. Put one here, and one down here, and then I'll hang that off of one of my cabinets. So that's it, guys. You've seen my process for developing black and white film. The next thing would be to scan or whatever, but it's that simple. I hope you had a good time, and I'll catch you all on the flip side. Bye for now.